Hello. This is very strange. I haven't been on for ages. I have been painting though, but I had sort of various reasons to do with the fact that I'm oil painting that I hadn't been on, and I wanted to really focus on enjoying painting without filming as well. And I was sort of on saying, "Oh, you'll forgive me if I go off and have a holiday from it for a while." So I have kind of had a holiday because I've been to the beach. The weather was nice the other day, and it was the first kind of cloudless day in the summer. And I said, "This is it. I have to go to the beach now." And I got some of these photos while I was there. And luckily enough, they're on the desktop as well because I have one of these printing plans that you get 10 pages a month and to print. And then, they charge you extra. And on the 10th one, the ink started running out. So luckily, the rollover for my 10 pages starts again tomorrow and I have more ink. But I didn't want to print out that second page again and have to pay a lot for sort of over printing more than my allowance. But I just printed out a couple of the pages to show you what I'm working from. And I have these on the community tab as well. And the reason that I'm working from photos is that when I went to the beach, although I brought my little sketch pad and a pen so I could do some drawing if I wanted, I decided no, I've been working really hard, and what I'd really like to do is read my book and go snorkeling. And I did that, and it was lovely. And actually, the snorkeling was really nice because although I couldn't find fish to swim with, I only found one fish, and he kept just going in and out from the same pile of seaweed. Um, Possibly because the tide wasn't completely in. There weren't shoals of fish in. Normally, when I go snorkeling, there'd be loads of fish. But I was looking at all the other things, and there are so many interesting things at this beach. There's just kind of a taste of it, as I say, over in the community tab. But um, it's very inspiring for paintings that I want to do that are they're kind of, I would call them interior decor paintings, which is a term that I would quite often use in a very disparaging way. But when you think of like house decor and everything, right? It's about painted walls and, DIY and everything. And I've been painting my bathroom walls, right? And I have two paintings in the bathroom. Well, not at the moment, I'm taking them out because there's a new plan. But I've painted the wall this color. It was a darker color, but I made this mix myself out of. I had a color called, I can never get the colors I want. I have the really dreadful hardware shop near me that isn't really a specialist hardware shop and only has like about three colors of paint at a time, and they're never the ones I want. And the last time when I was picking the paint for the bathroom, I was saying to them, "Well, what colors have you got?" Because there's so few colors. So I have this new thing going where I'm just mixing up leftover colors, and I had a color called kitten gray, which was actually, a very dead kind of that gray, maybe a paler version of it. And I had a color called almonds, toasted almonds, or something like that. And it actually was the color of almonds. Um, but it was a much darker color. It was like that kind of color. And I had some kind of off white that I used in my kitchen last year. And I do these kind of weird painting jobs because being a painter, the way I use the rooms in my house is not to have them decorated for like a look that's going to people are going to walk in and go, wow. Um, they're decorated as a background for painting in because my studio is a home space, and um, paintings off because they turn up as backgrounds in the paintings. So they're always a color that doesn't fight with whatever I'm working on at the time. So these kinds of neutral colors or throughout the house, really. I haven't even finished painting the whole house. The whole house needs a job, but the bathroom really needed it because last winter, the last lot of paint I got, I think I painted it the summer before last, but the paint didn't last. Last winter, I got all these moldy bits on the paint. And okay, there isn't like there's just an open window all the time in the bathroom. There isn't kind of a big extraction system because I don't have a shower, I have a bath. But the previous lot of paint I had didn't have this problem. So I basically had to put a fresh coat of paint on, and I promised myself I'd do it this summer. So to make a long story short, the beach comes into this because I know it's a little bit predictable, but I had a beach theme in the bathroom just because it makes me happy. Beach makes me happy. It's my happy place. And I think it's like heaven on earth being at the beach on a nice day. It's a bit hellish if it's not a nice day. But I had two paintings in the bathroom, and they're not really paintings. They're um, canvases that I bought really cheap. We have a shop in Ireland. The Spaniards love this shop as well. They've just got it in Spain now. They're so happy. Pennies, it's called. It's an Irish. The English version of it would be called Primark, but it's an Irish shop, you know. And they do lots of really cheap home furnishing things as well as cheap knockoff fashions, you know. And I bought these two canvases because they had beach pictures on them that they weren't exactly paintings. They might have been um, from photographs that were heavily edited in Photoshop or one of these photo editing things. But they were on a material that looked like it would survive my bathroom because having a bath, it's going to be a steamy atmosphere in there. So you wouldn't put a normal painting in a bathroom, not a normal canvas, right? So I'm not about to do an oil painting for a bathroom or anything on canvas because it rots. Paintings like not too damp an atmosphere, you know. I'm making it sound like a sauna room. It's not that damp, but it can be damp, you know. Um, so you need air to move around a painting that's canvas, and I just wouldn't risk putting any kind of really good paintings in there. And I hate a blank wall being a painter, and I like to have something to look at while I'm in the bath. So you know, I had these big beach pictures, which were okay, you know, very inoffensive, but they got a bit moldy as well last year. But when I tried to kind of bleach the mold off and use vinegar and various things, I couldn't get it completely off. So I thought to myself, well, I hate throwing things out. And the stretchers are okay, and the actual stuff they're on is good because it's a kind of a nylon canvas. I'll show it to you. They're both down off the wall now. I don't know how well you'll see it. Here's the front of the material. As you see, it has one of these inspirational quotes, which usually drive me mad as well. Memories made at the beach last a lifetime. But you know, it's about the beach, so it doesn't annoy me. But it's this very thin kind of nylon stuff. Here's the back of it. Oh, I don't know. Can you see the finish on it? Um, but because it's a nylon stuff, it's probably going to be okay in the bathroom. It'll survive dampness, you see. Now, it took it years to get moldy like that, and really was last year was the problem. I don't know, was last year damper or what? Or was there something a bit funny with the paint I got? Was it badly mixed or something? I don't know. But I'm going to paint over that. But I'm going to paint in acrylics because I feel that acrylics would survive a more humid temperature better. So this is why I'm saying this live stream, it's a little bit home decor-ish because I'm going to do something else with these paintings that I wouldn't normally do. And that is, um, I'm going to um, take the color of the wall into consideration. Normally, I would say to somebody, if you're buying a painting, you don't buy a painting. based on whether it matches your couch. You buy a painting based on whether you love the painting, and then you're prepared to, redo your whole living room or recover your couch if necessary, if it doesn't look right with the painting, because that's how you kind of should be feeling about painting. That it's not really decor as such, it's something that's an inspiration. But these two paintings for the bathrooms, they're going to straddle somewhere between being paintings that are just done as paintings that I am inspired by the subject matter and everything, but they're going to take in the surrounding of the decor of the bathroom into account, right? So they're going a little bit more in the design direction. And with that in mind, I don't want to um, put loads of time into them either, because they're not done on canvas. And I don't want to end up with really good paintings on canvas that's really cheap quality nylon-y stuff, or put in loads of time on them. And then the painting might degrade in that room and be unusable in months. I don't know. So I'm not going to put in very much time on them, but there might be other paintings come out of them. I don't really know. But so there's some of the constraints, and I actually have a very short. It's really just like an intro little clip, but it's got a few of the photos in it. So before I start planning out these paintings and telling you more about the size of them out and everything, and working, getting my gouaches out and working with Sketchbook, I'll just show you this very, very quick clip of a few photos from the beach, which if you blink, you're going to miss it. It's 24 seconds long. So here we Okay, I told you if you blinked, you'd miss it. So I have the beloved Himi gouache, jelly gouache set out. And it might be overkill actually, because as I was looking at the photos, I was thinking, you know what? Uh, with this color scheme, the colors that might work really well on this are what I would call Zorn palette colors, which if you've been around my channel before, or you might have discovered this elsewhere, the idea of what a Zorn palette is. And a Zorn palette is a starting palette of colors that um, is made up of yellow ochre, cadmium red, and black. And you mix everything else from those colors. There's some colors made from that Zorn palette. So they're the only colors you use. White as well, sorry. To use white as well. And there's a color wheel made just using those colors. And towards the outside of the wheel, you can see colors with white mixed into them. And towards the inside, you can see colors that have black mixed in with them. So you actually get quite a big range of colors. And when you look at my beach pictures and my wall color, you can see they would look really nice with it, because I kind of started out thinking, yeah, you see the kind of orange color that's turning up in some of the pictures. I'd like that to make it into the paintings. And I'll tell you why that is. It's because I'm taking decor into account again. If I'm sitting around in the bath in winter, right, that color is going to look grayer, because it's one of those colors that it looks a warm sandy color at the moment, but in a winter lighting, that might look, there is actually a gray in it, and it's purpley gray. So it might look a lot grayer and colder in the winter. So I want an injection of orange for the heat of a warm color in it for the winter, so it doesn't psychologically make me feel cold sitting in the bath, you see. So like it is about, I mean, art kind of art is decorating your environment, isn't it? But you don't normally go into it in this kind of detail when you're planning a painting, but because they're kind of they are paintings that are kind of they're not like uh, a painting I'm going to spend ages on. They're really decorative. I want them to be decorative. Um, I'm taking these things more into consideration than usual. So I'm saying, well, how is this painting going to make me psychologically feel? I know the feeling I want when I'm sitting in the bath looking. And um, the wall colors supporting that, and this color was made with my own mix and everything. So I'm happy I got exactly the color that I want this time for that wall. Hopefully, I have enough left over that I can do any patch up jobs that need to be done because I'll never be able to get exactly that color again. So be aware if you're making up your own colors, just to do enough to match it exactly. Because even afterwards, I had bought this chocolatey brown the day afterwards, thinking, yeah, this mixing my own colors is such a great idea for all the rooms. And I can even do eggshell mixes for the doors. And I won't do it this year. Maybe next year I'll paint all the doors in the house. I always wanted an eggshell finish bone white color for my doors and was never able to get it. But you can mix up your own paint, you see. Just buy like a satin and mix some of a matte in with it, and you've got eggshell, haven't you? And do it the color you want and everything. So you can get some really kind of really super duper funky looking colors that are dead tasteful without having to pay the tasteful prices for them, which is good. And we're artists, so we're able to mix up colors, pretty well, or should be. I also do a thing in the house that I do feature walls a lot. I call them feature walls, but actually what they are painting the house little bit by little bit. So you might do a wall one day and then a wall come along like a week later when you have a mint and do another bit of a wall, or a year later. And like in my living room, I have one wall that's one color, and I have three walls completely different color because I didn't get around to them yet. But the colors don't look too bad together. But that I just call the one wall that's done the feature wall. You see, because everything I do, the painting comes first. That's what I'm going to spend most time on. So decor, do it a bit at a time. But the bathroom is nearly finished. I only have a tiny bit of one of the walls to finish later today, and then everything can go back on the wall except the paintings. So I don't know, time frame for these maybe a week, but I want to get working at the colors today. So I'm going to think Zorn palette thoughts, but at the same time, because I have my gouaches out, I might be working with uh, colors other than Zorn today. But I would consider it for the acrylic version. I would consider using just the Zorn colors, because the acrylics for the big paintings. When I say big, one of the paintings is a painting. I'm just going to draw out the shape of them actually. One of them, here's the bath, right? Um, elevation view, slight elevation view. Two walls in the bathroom, right? Ceiling. There's one painting on this wall, and I know exactly where the paintings go because they've already been hanging there. And here's the other painting. One of them is a square painting, smaller square painting. That one is, I think it's 15 inches, which is just over a foot square. Okay. This one is a very long painting, and it's about 15 and a half inches, so a tiny bit wider that way, but it's 2 foot that way. So it's a bigger painting. So there's the tap end of things. So when I'm in the bath, I'm this way with the feet up this way, and I am looking at that painting, and the other painting's behind me. When I'm on the loo, I can see that painting, my throne. I won't paint my throne. I can see that painting over there. And I actually do have other artworks around the room, which aren't my own artworks. They're postcards that are framed. So I don't mind as much if they get a bit wrecked, but they've actually survived okay so far. So it's not, they're not the only things that are in the room. But this is the one that I'm going to be able to see from the bath, which is relevant because that's the one that's that long shape there. And what I'm thinking about doing for that one is this. So you might think it's a bit odd that I have all this rockiness. Why didn't I do, because I've taken photos of them, why didn't I do a lovely beach with the sky and sand and, water, a line of water? And in fact, the original pictures were of that. But I've thought about this a lot because I've been thinking for a while what I'm going to do when I replace those pictures. And I thought, well, this is kind of the standard view of a beach, isn't it? And that's quite a challenge for me to do a really good standard view of a beach that's not painted in situ and isn't very specific to a specific day or anything. I'd really be, I think, painting an idea of a beach, and for it not to look really kitschy and corny for me would be a huge challenge, I think. So I think I would actually prefer this. And also, the day that I was at the beach, the rocks and everything were the bit that were the most visually interesting things going on the day. And I think these would be fantastic. This one would be fantastic for that long picture because I actually have another version of it. Oh, if I want to look on my computer at the other version, I can find it. I have a long version of it that this bit isn't as I just cropped it badly on this one. I should have put the whole thing up a bit. It's got a kind of a peak. It doesn't go out at the painting, but I might have it kind of nearly going out a bit because I want to include that watery rivulet bit and the sparkly bit there in the painting. But I like that as a compositional thing. It's very strong, you know. Um, the other thing that I was going to say, color wise, so that's the big painting, what I'm thinking of for the big painting. Color wise, the Zorn palette idea is going to work out really well because I've ordered some new acrylics. The acrylics I had, the brand, were I have a couple of brands because somebody gave me a few acrylics as well. One of the brands that I bought myself was called Galleria, right? And I was surprised when I went online that it got okay reviews because I've always had trouble with Galleria paints, acrylic paints. I find them greasy and transparent at all the wrong moments. And I thought maybe it was because I was switching to using oil paints and switching to using gouaches, and that maybe I just wasn't used to acrylics anymore. And then I thought, no, maybe it's the paint itself. I don't know. But I've ordered experimentally um, another brand of paint called La Franc Bourgeois. I think that's how you spell it, something like that. And there's a set that comes for in euros. It's about 25 euros, but they're in big-ish tubes. Wait till I see if it compares to this. What's in this tube? This is a 100 ml tube, so they're much smaller tubes. I think they're 38 ml tubes, so maybe about that kind of height tube. Um, but in primary colors, right? So if you were doing your own mixing, if I can find, do I have a primary color? Yeah. Oops, my sketch pad is falling apart because I use the color mixing bit so much. There's a thing showing your primary colors, which are red, yellow, blue, okay, or cyan, magenta, and primary yellow to be exact. And there they are there. So it's got those colors in it and black and white for that money. And they're supposed to be an okay quality acrylic. So I'm going to try them out. They're arriving Monday or Tuesday, I forget which. So I don't have long to wait before getting them. So that's good if I start painting fairly soon. And I was looking to do another painting because the big painting that I was doing of the kind of jumble of plants in the garden, I'm nearly finished that actually. That's an oil. So it'd be nice to have a quickie sort of project. Um, and what I'm doing today is working at thumbnail sketches for things. So the other little one that I'm planning to do, that's a smaller square painting. So what I want is, it shouldn't be too hard to do, a square version of a rock pool. So that rock pool there is kind of triangular and then goes off into that shape at the top. So basically I've got two paintings, one with a lot of browns, some blacks, grays, and the other one with a lot of browns in it. I want to put something else in this one though as well. Um, I have all these little, what would you call these kind of shells? Limpets shells, are they? Um, and there are also little sea anemones in here in this pool. That's a guy with his little tentacles out. And then there are all little ones with, they kind of close up like this. And they've got a little mouth that closes up and then it opens up when it's feeding and all the little tentacles go. They're so cute. um, all those are in the pool. But I met this other guy and I want this other guy to go into it as well. I didn't meet him snorkeling. I met him when I was looking at the rock pools. And it turns out he's this shape, but changeable. And it turns out that he is or she, because I don't know if it's a she, is a thing called a comb jellyfish. And a comb jellyfish, this is what I love about them. They have little lines down their back that I was thinking of as disco lighting. Because if you know those kind of track disco lighting, um, track lighting, the way they work, um, they have iridescent, really shiny iridescent colors, and it goes blah, 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 and the colors kind of iridesce and move as they iridesce. And that's what this little comb jellyfish does. The little fella I had, he was small enough to hold in my hand like this in the rock pool, and he just floated around in my hand. But he's like a little pinkish color sack with all this beautiful disco lighting. And apparently, the disco lighting is an aid because they have all these little cilia or little kind of hairs or legs, or whatever you want to call them, that move them along in the water. So when they're moving backwards and forth in the water, that's what propels them. So when their disco lights are on, they're moving. So so I really this little thing made me so happy playing with it yesterday, and I'm very glad when I came home to find out that they don't sting around because I like snorkeling with these guys when I go to the beach and following them about. I follow about little shoals of fish, and I also follow about these guys because these turn up quite regularly and they're so pretty. You get them in a beautiful white color, and they're a bit like in the white color, they remind me of a lampshade that's sort of a paper lampshade that sort of collapsed. But they float in a lovely way, float along, and you can swim along with them. And now I don't really have to get out of their way or anything, fearful of being stung. But that one is going in the picture. So he's going in the rock pool, and he is a beautiful pinky color. So if I have nothing important, I do have important things on the back of that page. I'm going to start doing some color notes and drawing just because reliving the experience is going to be part of what makes the painting nice, I think. So, which one do I want to do first? I might actually do the rock pool just because there's such nice things in it, and this is going to be a square one. So here's what I'm thinking for the rock pool one. Color wise, the orange. So I know I want oranges in there. and, you know, sandy browns, really, I want. Because a lot of the sand is the color that I came up with for the wall. And I have a choice. I can have some sections of this match the wall exactly and have it just fade out into the wall because those canvases aren't framed. Or I can play with the idea of this color and do something else with it in here. So I'll see, I'll base it off the oranges and the browns and see where that leaves me. But I have another part of the plan. And if I can find the thing that I want to, oh yeah. The other part of the plan is this is an acrylic, a white acrylic pen. This one is an Edding. And I have ordered one of these in a brown. So I'll have a white acrylic and a brown acrylic pen. You can get them in different widths, but I've got that kind of a roundy tip on this one. And in theory, I should be able to draw with this over an acrylic painting. So what I'm thinking is that for things like these kind of barnacle bits and the limpety bits, so say that's a limpet, I'm just going to draw it much bigger than I would in the painting. There are a lot of elements in them that would look really nice drawn. So, for example, that limpet, which is one of those guys, but he's got barnacles on him, uh, because there were so many barnacles going on at the beach. And barnacles are, you know, they're those little roundy things with the hole in them that grow on sort of edges of boats and all over rocks, and they just look terrific. So they would be really cool as a drawn element. So I'm going to come in a bit closer with you for some of the drawing here, and hopefully it'll focus in nicely on that. So can you imagine having an underneath the base color on that, that's a yellowy color, and then coming along and drawing over it with um sorry, I'm looking for a brush. Coming along and drawing over it with my acrylic pens. I think I'd enjoy doing that. And the thing about pens is it's going to give this more um I think a more illustration-y, graphic-y, designy look to the thing, which I think would be nice because there are a lot of elements in these that are very I don't know, they're very conducive to drawing, you know. So I do like that look. And I think that's the way I'm going to go. So for color wise, what I'm going to do is I'm going to work out a few colors, and I have a yellow ochre in this set, okay? And in fact, I could do with some, could do with some palette knives for getting paint out because I don't like. Sorry, I have it set up in here for oil painting at the moment, not gouaches. This is the problem when you got a few things going on. So I'm going to take out a few colors, browns. I have a nice, it's sort of a sienna, that color. And I'm running out of white there, but I do have another pouch of white that I got. And skin color, which I haven't done enough portraits to really need, but it's a very salmony, pinky color. So I'll just work with those for the moment. And I might go into a slightly more yellow, I don't know. So I'm going to do some swatching as well. And the reason I did this guy is I want to see how those colors bounce off the wall color. So obviously this is not something you do as a painter if you're doing a commission for somebody. You're not obliged to know what color their walls are. You just do the painting and see how nice it is against that. It's actually bringing out the orange tones in that. Another color would bring out the cooler tones, you see. But it's nice. I like that. It's not the right color from the photo. And if you wanted to match the color perfectly on something, I've been doing this a lot recently in oil painting. I've been doing this, right? Because I've been really working on my greens, and I'm sitting here waiting for my Veronese green to arrive today because I have a new green that I really love. And it's emerald green really, but it's also called Veronese green, and I'm absolutely passionate about it. And I ordered a huge tube to replace this tube, which it's got tin foil on it because it's all burst at the bottom. But I just love this green at the moment, and I'm using it in that garden pots painting. So I'm adding a little bit more of a lemony yellow into that. And I'm using this technique recently to match colors, to actually get an exact match on colors. So if you wanted exact matches for things in the photos, this is really the way to go. You paint on the edge of a piece of paper, and then you hold the thing up to the color you want. So I'm holding the color up to that little tiny bit of shell, and it's not quite bright enough, so I'm going to put a bit of white in with it. And till I get a match, you see. And if you're looking to get your ability to match colors or your color mixing ability to improve, that's a great way to do it. It really is. It does work. I've got some surprises recently doing that. I had this color problem, um, recently for like a few months this year. I looked at last year's paintings and I went, some of them look very, the color looks very dark in them, muted, which I don't mind, but too dark. So I did an awful lot of work on color this year. So I'm just getting versions of some of the colors I'm seeing in this, and then I'm going to decide what I'm going to keep, what I'm going to lose, what are going to be the main colors in the picture. So when you're planning a picture, there's a lot of this kind of thing can go on. So I'm loving those kinds of colors. You see, it's very different for a beach thing, isn't it? So it's definitely not going to be like a. Will we do a little trick again? And I'll try and match up this again. So we'll try our trick for that color. See, can we get a match? Hold it right up to it. You see, that's not bad at all. Parts of it are slightly lighter. I could go a bit lighter if I wanted. See, some of it is the darker color and some of it is the lighter color. I forget what I was saying there in the middle. And I love using the gouaches. See, if I wish acrylics would behave the way gouaches do for me in terms of how they feel when they're going on, but they do not feel like this. The Galleria ones definitely. So we'll see how the Frank Bourgeois do. I might do a little test on them. If anybody's interested in seeing what that test looks like, I can do it live. Just let me know in the comments whether you're interested. But I am suiting myself a lot this summer, I have to say, in terms of painting for me, if you know what I mean. But this is the sort of thing that I thought you'd get a kick out of this because it's a bit different. It's also a sketchbook thing, which shows up better on camera. And it's a yakking about things generally kind of thing. Because I wanted to talk about the beach and the wonderful thing that I saw at the beach. And oh, it was lovely. So what other colors have I got in that piece? That yellow, orange. I do have greens. I'm gonna ignore greens, I think, but I do have a greenish. There are little sort of periwinkly shells in there. There is a greenish cast of them, more greenish than I have. And at the moment, I'm enjoying doing things that aren't all green. Because I was doing plein air, wasn't I? Was doing a lot of plein air stuff. So when I started putting in flowers in the painting that I'm doing now, this one doesn't look light at all. Maybe it needs to be light. Um, it's too tonal or something. When I started putting in flowers, I was putting in bright oranges and reds in the middle of these greens, and I was going, ooh! I think I posted a picture of it up in the community tab as well if you want to see like what I was doing and on. But it was just putting in a big zoomy color like that in the middle of something was just you need an injection of color sometimes. And although I was getting a big kick out of all these different sorts of greens, there were all this whole range of colors I wasn't really using. Okay, so that is not a bad color for some of those little guys. I'm not working just from this reference. For the main painting, I have better close-up things. Um, so I could go with that kind of color there. I don't know how I feel about green because I am thinking of keeping keeping it um to do with just two different colors. I'm going to show you something in the book about color working out because this is working out composition, but it's also working out color. And I want to show you a thing. This book I was looking at this morning, Color, a Workshop for Artists and Designers by David Ornung. And this is a book I look at fairly regularly because it has fun things like this in it. This is a little pebble. It looks like some sort of granite and maybe sandstone, I don't know. But somebody's isolated the colors from that pebble there, you see. So this is kind of what I'm doing, isn't it, when you think about it? If you think of the background color as the color of the walls in my bathroom, and I'm saying, well, if I want to have something floating in that color, um, let's isolate all the colors that I can see in the photographs and really see how the colors um, are going to interact with each other. So that's the point of planning the color, you see. Have a look at what you have there. Here's another one, look. That is a study of the colors in that. Okay, that some fabric person did, and they ended up doing this weaving from it, you see. But they did have a reference for the colors, and the reference was that. So you get inspired by nature, you see. But it's a very nice way to have a look at what colors harmonize with each other because this is natural harmony in nature, isn't it? And I think I have one more thing I want to show you because you might get your own ideas in paintings or in decor from this. I have another couple of things. Here's a painter I like a lot, a guy called Richard Diebenkorn, and he does a lot of beach and ocean themed things, but he does kind of industrial sort of spaces near beaches, and he has very big spaces in his paintings that are filled with color in a really subtle way. He's got two things going on here. He's got a warm brown and he's got a kind of a dragged across grey neutral tone. And then that's kind of balancing against other colors going on. So that the whole thing looks kind of abstract, but it's a very balanced abstraction of something. And his stuff is kind of an abstraction because he does. There's a corner of Studio Sink, so it didn't start out like an abstract thing, but he's very interested in how all the colors, tones, and shapes. Well, actually, shapes wise, he tends to work in rectangular things, rectangular shapes a lot, and simplify that down as I think a kind of a way of just exploring color without having to overthink composition too much. Um, so these are the kinds of ways I'm thinking today. I'm saying to myself, well, how's that all going to kind of balance? And if I can find, here's the thing I'm looking for. This shows, I thought that's relevant to me. This thing shows, they're calling it disparate colors, but they're colors that are kind of opposite each other, and the color wheel would be red and green, or orange and, certain kinds of greens. Um, But they're talking about how you got all the tones in between the mixes of those. So if you get things that are kind of opposite, you can come up with all these in between tones that are terribly exciting. And I'm thinking about that when I'm doing this, because this is made with a grey in it, quite a lot of grey, a little bit of a kind of a browny colour, which isn't that dark, but it's somewhere between that and that, and basically a white just to bring up the tone. So it's actually got some opposites in it. It's got a bit of warm and a bit of cool in it. And what I'm working at in the painting is I'm working at having opposites in there as well in the painting. I want the paintings to be harmonious with what I did in the wall. And the reason that um, I'm very excited about mixing up my own wall paints now is that I could do feature walls all over my house and have them all slightly different colors, but they'll all go together really well. Because if I use the same three colors, say, in each mix, but in different proportions, they've still got the same colors in them. So they're going to harmonize with each other, if that makes sense to you. This one color here is one that I would say is not harmonizing at the moment, right? Because it's not got the same color mix in it that the wall has, or the what I envisage the painting have, because the paintings are going to harmonize with the wall, but they're going to stand out from it. But this one, that could be, if I wanted to include it in a painting, one of my kind of extra colors, if you like. So in the middle of a painting, you can have a color that bounces. For example, your man Anders Zorn, the guy that came up with the Zorn palette idea, um, he might have had. Sorry to be going on about this so much and not doing a whole lot of painting, but these are concepts that if you get them, they bring your painting up so much that they're worth learning. They really are. Um, so I don't know whether I can deliver it in an exciting way for you, but I'm just giving you the information. So these colors here, right? There, you get all your colors that you want for the painting out of those three colors in the Zorn palette. But your man Anders Zorn, he didn't include blue in his palette. But what he often did in his paintings, if he was painting water or sky, for instance, um, he would introduce a blue in and say to himself, well, these are the main colors, but I can have an extra color if I want. So I'm thinking like that for these paintings. I'm thinking, well, what are the main colors? And then what extra colors do I want? And when I'm looking at the main colors, what I'm really doing is I'm saying to myself, um, whereabouts on the color wheel am I going to go with my oranges into reddy orange, reddy brown colors? This range here, how far am I going to go? For example, am I going to go as far up color wise And I'm not working with the Zorn palette. I just want to, in case anybody's getting confused, for the gouaches, I'm not working with the Zorn palette, but I might when I switch the other painting. So I might have to do another session for myself if I decide to go with the Zorn colors for mixing to make the thing even more harmonious. I might have another session with my acrylics to do that. And you've seen me work before with a Zorn palette. Um, so if you just look up Zorn on my search bar for my channel, you'll find a live there with me working with the Zorn palette if you want to have a go with this. Now these are, you could do like color swatches and put them in a painting and hang them up in a bathroom and they'd look amazing against that wall, that color wall. Because I'm planning that wall as kind of part of the painting. The bathroom is an environment, right? It's an art environment. It's an artist bathroom, man. But anybody can do this, like, obviously. Um, but you're just taking everything into consideration. So I'm saying to myself, am I going to go that orangey? Well, it would be super, wouldn't it, to have a few accents in your picture that are that loud. But I don't know that I want that to be the main color. So for this one, it's actually very pretty as is with that the main color. And that is going to be a warmer version of what's happening on the wall, I think. It's very similar to it, actually. It's very similar in this, just very slightly lighter in some parts. But I could go warmer if I wanted to. There's nothing to say I couldn't do that as the main color if I wanted to. And be working with that and maybe a couple of bits of that if I want. So I can have all that range in this. And then there are some bits of it which are that kind of color there, which if I'm working it out in a Zorn palette, there'd be black involved. To get a purpley color in Zorn, I have to really think about how I do that, but it's basically adding black to something. But it's easy to do. Um, it's easy to do when I'm working with the gouaches because there's a very loud kind of a purple in it, which I can just bring down a bit lower. And what color have I got here? Is that black? Yeah, I have a little tiny bit of black in it to dull it down. Add a bit more purple. Tiny bit of white to see where I am. And I might go more blue even because I do want some cool contrast in this. So you see, that could be a little accent choice for some of those bits there. And it's not exactly the same color, but if I add more white to it, it's pretty near. I do my trick. Things don't have to match perfectly for you to be making a composition. You decide the colors yourself. So I got those kinds of colors, which are, cooler colors than these oranges. But I like the idea of the oranges, the very pale, creamy colors being sort of half of the picture. But there's one final color you see I want in that picture. Gonna start putting in a few of those colors. I'm gonna go a little bit more with the purple as well. And the advantage of doing the final painting with the Zorn palette would be that I wouldn't be introducing too many outside colours. Outside meaning outside of the palette that I chose, the palette colours that I chose. So, for example, I mixed in a blue in with that, and that would not be included in a Zorn palette. I would have to include that as an extra colour that would give an extra pop to a specific little area of the painting. Typically, it wouldn't be the majority of the colour in the painting. It would be only one little area. But in this, when I'm using it in the gouache, because I have a choice of any colour I want, it's hard to keep control of the colours because look, you have all these colours, and if I used all these colours, it's all going to be really, really garish in one picture. So I got to make just choices about cutting things out anyway. And using a Zorn palette is going to help me cut things out a little bit more. I just wanted to use my gouaches today, and I didn't want to have to limit myself in terms of colour. Could have limited myself in terms of colour in it if I'd wanted to, but I'm just keeping it pretty freewheeling today, you see. So let me just mix up a little bit more of this colour here. Because in fact I might go into, this is a brainstorming session, right? And I might go into some zoomy yellows. When I work this out in acrylics and I'm using the Zorn, I don't know whether I'll get the range of colors I'm getting here, or whether if I do, I like it or not like it, or what'll happen. But the rules are there to be broken, you see, so I can do what I want, really. But I like having some little bit of control over something to start things off anyway. So I'm going to go in there with my nice brown. So I'm really liking these colors, but can you imagine if I had a nice brown acrylic pen? How nice something like that would be to draw on top of a base color, an acrylic base color. Be fun, wouldn't it? Or it'd be bit easier than doing brush strokes. The only advantage of a brush stroke is that you get this gestural mark, which you don't get with a felt pen. But if you're going for a look that's a kind of a more graphic designy look, um, it's okay to have. You could even have big outlines around everything if you wanted to really emphasize. And some of the shapes and everything, the beach shapes in the mollusks and limpets and various things that are there, are kind of just fun kind of shapes that you don't have to be take loads of time getting perfect. People kind of can pick up on what they are fairly easy. The other guy, there's another kind of little set of colors I'm going to go into for, oops, I keep going out of shot, sorry. And yet I want to keep it in close. This guy here is an anemone. I want to get him in because I want to also do something else with the color, the background color, which is that orange rock pool, right? With some little bits of a deeper reddy orange in it. I'm going to go over bits of that with, I'm not going to worry about it looking underwatery or anything, you know. It's, if you want it to look underwatery, you can do just a couple of highlights later and it will look like that. But what I want to do is I want to have that little jellyfish guy that I was talking about, who apparently they're not a real jellyfish. The comb jellyfish, they're completely different. I don't know, phyla or whatever you call it, to an actual jellyfish. But I'd like to have him in it just because he makes me happy. He's a fabulous shape. His color is not um it's not a great color to be putting on top of this, to be honest, because it's a very jarringly different color. But we'll see how it goes. You see, what I was going to do was have him floating somewhere in the middle. So he would be intersecting different things and messing their shape up, basically, or messing their color up. So it's a way of playing with the color a bit further. And he also, I don't know, I do have an acrylic varnish, so I might use a bit of kind of see-through quality in this bit so you can see the underneathy painting that I do a bit better. Um, but I want the color of that guy to affect the orange underneath. So maybe using an acrylic varnish over that might be the way to go. But I want to have a go at doing that and then have him more pink around the outside. And I can do little tiny bits of what you call outside color in his little comb strips that go down the side and probably get away with it okay, you see. So although I start off with the Zorn palette, I'm not necessarily going to stick with it, you see. So that's the way the track lighting goes there. Runs up like that. Get a little bit purple. And that gives me a chance to do um, very strong colours in with colours that aren't too strong, you know. I didn't get a shot of that guy because I didn't have my camera on me for that bit. And I wasn't kind of being slavish to the camera either. I just spent like 20 minutes taking pictures and the rest of the day dossing. I don't remember half the colours that were in him. Probably like rainbow colours, you know, because it's the light, isn't it, reflecting off them. So you could do a little. There were definitely little pinky reds in it. So you see, I can do little pickups of color like that. There's also this guy. So this is kind of the start of the brainstorming session for me. It'll change when I get the acrylics and start messing with the acrylics and using the Zorn colors. That'll affect it. So it mightn't turn out exactly these colors, but I kind of know what sort of ranges of colors I'm trying to mix. So I have my little sea anemone guys, which give me that lovely dark brown, but red centers. They've got red centers. So I can go into very deep orangey red or even a pinky red for the center of those. Purpley red if I want. And all of those colors look really good with that. So let's just do the yellowy color. Oh, I paint my hair, which isn't as serious with gouache as it is with oil paint. In fact, when I'm using it I meant to put on a kind of hairbandy thing to keep my hair from doing that, and I forgot it. So this color is one of the main colors in the picture, this color. But when that color dries, instead of painting on my little barnacle guys like that, which I could, Um, the plan was to do a drawing with the acrylic pen. Now that lifts what because it's gouache, it would lift a bit. But I think that's a nice plan if it'll stay on top of the acrylic paint, which it should. But sometimes these pens can be a bit see-through, so we'll see how well it works. It's certainly a quicker approach, and you can do kind of details fairly easily with it, just like. So we got all our stuff. Now for the other painting, just before I go, I'm at 1 minute, 1 hour and 5 already. So that would be how that painting looks against that color wall, which, it's very warm. So sitting in the bath in the winter with colors that warm going on would be very nice, I think. And I think that would be nice. I mean, it doesn't look like the way the finished painting is going to look at all. But this is what we're doing. We're working out color schemes now. So for the other painting, the color scheme is going to be the same kind of color scheme because this is the decor element of it. They're matching paintings. They're not a diptych as such. They're different sizes and all this, but they're kind of a bit matchy, even though they're at different ends of the bath. I want them to look sort of like they're from the same environment or the same uh, day of the beach. There were a lot of very black colors in this, and I don't want to get too into black. I did have, this is why I'm saying I might do other paintings. I did have a stunning, although the print of it isn't very good. Um, I did have this one. I thought the pictures of that were absolutely stunning for a painting. And the texture was amazing and everything because it was so barnacled, you see, with all these kind of things on it. But because it's part of its beauty was the fact it was grey and black. I thought, well, that's not really suitable for the warmth that I want for the bathroomy colours. So part of this rock, I noticed, is an orangey colour, and I'm going to exploit that and bring out the orangey in it, you see. And I haven't decided yet about the colours for this, but they're going to relate to the other painting. Okay, so the colours are going to match the other painting. So it'll probably be a brownie or a purpley bluey brownie. That kind of colour is that's quite a cold colour because it's got a lot of blue in it. But depending how much of it there is, it might survive with the orange. And depending on what color the sand is, you see, you could, although that's the same color as my bathroom wall, I can do it yellow if I want. So that's one choice. Or I can even go somewhere in between and do that yellow and grey, you see, and then bring it up to white for the sparkly bits and have it very white, which will look super on a wall that's that color because that isn't as bright as that. So that sparkly bit would really lift if you did that. So I can graduate the colors in all that sand bit that runs alongside those rocks, you see. Doesn't have to be in exactly the same colors, but I am cognizant of not wanting the overall thing to get too cold color. I want to keep it quite a warm color. So I'm thinking keep it in that brownie range. It'll still have to make sense, in the context of the thing. So I mean, I can when I go up here, I can make it a little bit bluer. But I'm not going to work out the color too much until I get those acrylics and do it with the Zorn palette, as I say, because um, your color choices are more limited with the Zorn palette, which sounds bad but is good because you got more limited color can mean more harmony within the painting. So I don't need very many colors going on in the painting. I just need them to be the right color, the right colors to bounce off that color I chose for the wall. So really warm colors are going to bounce off the cool sand color of the wall, and that color is actually super against it. You see, that really is pretty. That pinkiness against that is just ooh, I love it. So I might go for pink sand. Why not? You see, you can have pink sand. The light changes, the sand can be pink. Um, and in fact, you can see bits of pink in the rock as well. So you can have pink and that bluey purpley quite happily coexisting in the rock. So let's do that. And I'm doing it just with the blue and the black, and then mixing my orange in that I had already mixed up. And we're getting that lovely color. I can add more black if I want it darker. So they are lovely colors, and it's not as predictable as doing a picture of a beach with uh, you can't see the water in these ones at all, except for as kind of a reflection turning up in it with kind of a nice. I like that sparkly lens flare-y kind of look, so I might work that in. I'm going to do a lot of the work with color in this because there are such kind of strong shapes in it. And I think they're going to be really enjoyable paintings to do. Let's just hope the acrylic stays on the canvas. And I'll post something up on the community tab, when I have them done to show you how they turned out. But just as I love this sketch, just as a thing, I think it's really nice. And although it started off from um, something that had very uh, cold colors in it, mostly cold colors, it's gone very warm, hasn't it? Look, but you can see how it relates to the original thing. And I mean, I could go that kind of semi-abstract if I wanted in the paintings. I don't know what's going to happen in the paintings. And that's the fun of painting, isn't it? When you're doing a painting, you don't just plan it out and then you go, oh, okay, that's exactly how I'm going to have it look, and then just slavishly follow the plan, and that's how it turns out. Things can happen, you know. So that's the plan for the long one, and that's the plan for the little square one. I think they're going to be fun. That's the one I'll be able to see when I'm in the bath, and that's the one I'll be able to see from the throne room. Well, the whole room is a throne room. So nice summer memories that'll keep me going, you see, in the winter. But definitely summer is the time for decor, isn't it? So that's my decor. Okay, bye folks. See you soon, I guess. I don't see why not.